Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Philly Fan Radio. I'm your host, John Myer, along with Dan Palmieri. And Dan, I want to say the Eagles put a whoop ass on the Raiders. You know, they were 2-10 team, horrible, whatever it is. But let me tell you what, the Eagles are now 9-5, one win away from clinching the division. A 31-0 blowout on a freezing cold Sunday. Dan, let me hear what you think about this game.
It was finally the game that we have been waiting to see. Other than the Giants game, this was the most complete game that they've had all season. And, what's crazy is that if you look at it, a 9-5 record with about to win the division, let's just say they won the division, and potential third or second seed in the conference, at the beginning of the year, looking at their strength of schedule, we would have been like, oh, well, we had a really successful year and we're prime position. But it's just been such a weird year in that we're 9-5, and to use Sirianni's words, still looking for an identity. But yeah, I mean, it was a good game. Their defense smothering as they've been for a long time now. Well, a few games now, and their offense kind of built off what they did last game, and we kind of talked about the things that I liked that they did, but the things that they did this time they were actually able to execute, and hopefully it should be a drama-less filled week, considering that Jalen Hurts lit it up again.
Now, normally for this show, and I think the majority of the season, we've been ranting, especially last week. We've had some ranting sessions. I don't think we're going to rant today. I think a lot of it's going to be positively. We won't have a bunny in here, so don't worry about it. I think they killed the bunny after, the debacle of last week. We won't get into that because we want to stay positive. Dan, I'm going to go do a little quick recap on some things. Now, they are currently, the number 3 seed?
Yeah.
They have the potential to get a second seed. Will they actually strive towards it? Well, there comes the balance of resting players, and if you're not getting the number 1, then what's the point of the effort? You're at least guaranteed one home field, play, though they had, home field advantage last year into the, their playoffs and the Super Bowl run. Dan, your prediction last week was 27-20 Eagles in a boring game. Mine was 21-17 Eagles. I didn't have a boring game or anything like that. We were totally off. We sucked. Good thing we don't predict. Good thing we're not Vegas for sports betting, or else you guys have been wrong. Though they were 12.5 favors or something like that?
11.5 at kickoff, yeah.
Oh, 11.5, so they changed the point on a thing there. Dan, the temperature of the game, so we were down there, and the temperature of the game was 29. Real feel was 12, and yes, it really felt 12. Freezing, cold. It was the second fastest game in NFL history, 2 hours and 30 minutes. Why? Well, there weren't a lot of penalties. Why? Because there were a lot of completed passes, and what thus kept the game rolling. So I'm actually very impressed, positively impressed from last week and what we saw from their offense and how they played this week. Much better. Their play calling, it's like night and day, and it's definitely not just solely KP.
Yeah, and last week we talked about the concepts. They were running more mesh concepts, crossers, not just like running hitch patterns. And this week we saw a lot more of that, but we also saw some calculated things. And what I mean by that is in the first half, they were running certain rushes or whatever, rushes to the left or whatever. And later in the game, they would line up in the same formation and they would run a separate play or play action off of that. So they're actually starting to analyze and set defenses up. And we've been asking for something like that all year. Don't let the defense dictate to you what you're going to do. You just do what you have to do. You stick to your game plan. And, the run wasn't explosive in this game, but they stuck with it. And even though they weren't getting like 10 yards a carry, there were those like 3 yards, 4 yards, eventually 5 yards. It kept them in third and shorter or medium. And that's a lot easier to, get than, third and 12, third and 10. So they were able to sustain drives. And I mean, wow, only 1 3 and out in this entire game, which is incredible based on what we've been seeing. So it was an extremely successful offensive game plan, definitely.
I think with the rushing and everything, there was 183 yards. Saquon only had like 76, right around there. But Hurts had some. There was only one scare with him running on one of them. We'll talk about potential of injury, but nothing we're concerned about going into it. And you had Tank Bigsby out there doing a couple because Saquon came out because he got a little banged up for one of the series, but he came back into it. 183 yards. While, that sounds really great and everything, and it is because the rushing attack, actually, you had a chance. It wasn't straight up the gut on there. There were a couple of instances I saw where, the center might not have been doing his complete job, and, we've been talking about Juergens for a while and Steen and everything, and that, it's just, you're not seeing the same thing what you used to see from like Kelsey and being in the center position. And that's usually what Hurts' problem is that he doesn't have the time into it. But going in there, rushing was great. I mean, he only threw 15 times, and there were 3 incompletes, as many incompletes as there were touchdowns. And those incompletes, 1 for Goedert. I was not upset with him. I just, for some reason, I just couldn't be upset with him because he's been catching everything. He was like the go-to guy for this. AJ had 1, but then got, PTI, pass interference. And then who else got it? Oh, Saquon. Saquon missed 1. So there were your 3 incomplete passes. But that was it out of 15. All in all, it was a great offensive game.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it was only 15 because they sat for most of the fourth quarter. I can't even remember when they came out, but it might have been at the beginning of the fourth quarter, to be honest with you. But yeah, it was an impressive offensive display. Everything they've been talking about execution for a long time, and we kind of just, basically sat there and said, okay, yeah, you're just doing coach speak now. But they executed. The game plan was good. And, I thought in the beginning they rushed Tank Bigsby a little bit more, which I thought was really beneficial because every time he gets a ball, he seems like he gets like 4 or 5 yards carry just running up the middle. As you alluded to, I saw some issues with Dickerson and Juergens just missing combo blocks, letting them pass them. So there's still some just issues on that offensive line that have
some
to
fundamentals
be
that are still missing.
Yeah, exactly. And, like last year, we saw this dominant unit. The year before, we saw a dominant. We've been spoiled to have a dominant offensive line for years now, and it's just not the way that is going on. And you hope that it's getting better, but it's still not the level of execution that we've usually seen. Let me put it that way.
I think Fred Johnson did step up against Max Crosby for the majority of the part. I think there was some talk going into it like, hey, listen, they're going to be one-on-one, and if he needs help, then we'll give him help over there. But I think Fred Johnson did a great job keeping Max Crosby away from Hurts.
Yeah, I thought that Fred Johnson really did a solid job. You really didn't hear anything about Max Crosby, whether it be the pass rush or whether it be the running, It was, I like Fred Johnson. Is he a Pro Bowler, elite tackle? No, but he's a guy that I have felt that he could step in there and he could do a serviceable job. He's not Lane Johnson, okay? You're not going to isolate him on an island against people like Myles Garrett, but he did a really solid job. And everybody, I have no complaints about this, other than I'm still disappointed in what I see out of Juergens and Dickerson because I expect better from them. Because, usually when you think about the Eagles, they're just pushing people and they're not getting contacted until 3 yards down the field. But all in all, everybody played solid. The game plan was solid. It's like a kumbaya week here because I wish in typical Philly fan fashion, the only thing that I can complain about this week is talk radio and the fact that they just need to shut up because the overreaction on talk radio is just ridiculous. Last week it was Hurts is garbage. Hurts should be benched for Tanner McKee. The Super Bowl MVP just needs to, take a seat and recalibrate. He had one bad game, and then all of a sudden this week it's, we knew Hurts had it in him. We knew that he was solid, That was a good game. But then it's like in the same breath, oh, well, it was only the Raiders. I mean, the guy cannot get any credit. He gets all the blame, but none of the credit. It's just outrageous to me. I've never seen such a polarizing figure before, and it's just absolutely weird, I guess is the word.
Seth Joyner came on to a WIP like he does every Monday, and this was after the Chargers game, so it was like Tuesday. And he was talking about Hurts and basically being benched and blah, 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 and going all the way. And then this past Monday, he comes on there and somebody asked him about the game, and he goes, I expected it. Like, you expected him to come out and do that, like a total 180 on what you were telling everybody that he's not the guy and he can't throw and he can't do all this stuff. And then he comes in and I expected this. Yes, it was against the Raiders, but for all intents purposes, having a game like this, regardless of the team, and blowing them out is definitely a morale setter for the team. It puts them in good position. It feels like, listen, guys, we've got this, and things will be turning around. Whether they're still searching for answers or identity, blah, 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 I think watching Hurts play this game against the Raiders was absolutely phenomenal on his decisions, on his deep balls that he was throwing there versus the short ones.
Yeah, and we saw running by Hurts. There was a lot more design. No, well, okay, so there were a few quarterback draws, but we saw the read option, and what we actually saw was we've been running the read option for a few weeks, not a lot, but he was never holding the ball and getting around to the edge. He was just handing it off, and the end was crashing. We saw him finally hold the ball and go around the edge, and it started to open things up. I mean, look what happened. Goedert got more involved, and there were some middle-of-the-field throws that he was able to make because finally the linebackers are creeping up, and they don't know how to react. Do they go with the running back? Do they go with the quarterback on the end? Is he going to throw? Is he going to pass? The confusion was there finally because he was running it, and not just running it, he was running it effectively. And we saw there was one play that was iffy where his leg got caught when he tried to slide. And everybody's like, oh, well, maybe that's why he doesn't run, blah, 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 blah. It's football, okay? You need to do what is best for your team. And what is best for the Philadelphia Eagles, in my opinion, is to have that running threat, dual threat quarterback. Because I'll be the first to say, Hurts does have deficiencies, okay? He's not a perfect quarterback. Nobody is, but his deficiencies are he sometimes can read a defense slowly. He can. He does have an issue throwing over the middle of the field. Maybe not an issue, but he doesn't like to do it. He likes to throw to the outside where the vision's a little clearer. So what's the one thing that he can add to his repertoire to make sure that he does have an elite part of his game that nobody else can? Run the ball. Keep that edge on the back. And that's what they got to do to make their offense just become more dynamic, become more unpredictable. And I thought he did that, and he did that well. And I just hope that it continues. And you said it with, they are playing the Raiders, okay? Let's not say, oh, God, they're a Super Bowl contender, let's go. But the fact is, like you said, this is a game that you can build off of, and you establish what worked for us in that game, and then take that and then go to a different game. and apply those things and see if that works again. And if it does work again, then voila, you found your identity. So I was very impressed with what I saw. I like the way that the offense is going, and it's just, I'm happy this time. I'm very happy, believe it or not.
Dan, is it safe to say that this game, the way they played, the style of what they played, feels like they played last year? Like that was their identity last year. We were a run-first team, and we only had to throw when we needed to, and it just felt like a last year team playing and being able to drive the ball. I mean, the first drive, it was like 7.5, 8 minutes.
So what I'm going to say is the one thing that I saw, and I don't know if this is the case, okay? They did not force feed A.J. Brown the ball. The last few weeks, I felt personally that they've went out of their way to force feed him the ball. And it has really put a damper on some of the execution and the play calling, because you're just calling plays with basically a one-man route, okay? And if he's not there, then Hurts is going to panic because nobody else on the field was really designed to get the ball. And I felt like finally they were just more concerned with spreading the ball around. Goedert. Devontae Smith only got 2 catches, which I think he should get a lot more. But he only threw, 15 passes, like you said, or something like that. So there wasn't a lot of opportunities. But the fact is they didn't force feed him the ball. And whether or not that's going to piss him off, I honestly don't give a shit if it pisses him off at this point. I want to win. And it's clear that when they tried to force feed him the ball and tailored the offense to be just with him, it wasn't working. They lost 3 in a row. But you know what? During those 3 losses, A.J. Brown was the highest receiver in terms of yards during those 3 weeks. And he was happy. I don't care.
Coincidence?
Yeah, exactly. I want to win. And if A.J. Brown doesn't like the fact that we are a run-first team and that's the way it's going to be, then he's stupid, because he knows that's what he signed up for, okay? They won the Super Bowl that philosophy last year. He got his. He did. But they were doing the same exact thing this year. Maybe he was getting less production for whatever reason, but they were winning. Why is winning not enough for him? It just baffles me. And I didn't want to go on an A.J. Brown rant, but what I felt about the offense this week was that they didn't feel the need to just force him the ball.
And that's not a negative at all. That's actually showing what they can do when they just play the game their way, not play the game to favoritism or to shut someone up on the other side. Going back to the way that Hurts was running, did you notice in this game that when it was a design run or Hurts did break out of the pocket, it wasn't negative yardage or it wasn't, back to the line of scrimmage? He was actually gaining, let's just say he got the first down in some cases, even 10, 15 yards. He was pretty much very close to the first down or got it on most instances that he needed to make it.
Yeah, I don't understand why, but he looked faster in this game. I don't understand why that is. He was getting to the edge.
Well, is that
quicker.
because the defense wasn't pushed as far in because they're like, okay, if he does run, we've got him, or this defense assumed that Hurts is not going to run based off past experience, so we're just going to give him that 10 yards.
It could very well be. He hasn't been running, so why would they think he's going to run? But I think also you saw they were getting some decent yardage when they were actually running up the middle this time. So if they're able to run up the middle and actually establish somewhat, maybe 3 yards a carry up the middle, then it opens things up to go around the edge because they're going to crash down a little bit more. So I thought he looked better. He looked faster. He looked more decisive with his throws, with his runs. I mean, I honestly couldn't have asked for a better game from a starting quarterback. His throws were, for the most part, spot on. I mean, the deep pass to Devontae, perfect. The deep pass on
27-yard to AJ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that AJ almost
with
dropped.
3 defenders. Yeah, almost. But hey, listen, I'm not gonna, poke at him or anything on there that he should have kept it, or he did. He secured it with 3 defenders around him.
Yeah, it was a perfect pass. He was decisive at where he was going to throw the ball, and he led him perfectly. He didn't lead him into harm's way of getting decapitated by a safety, and it was perfect. He executed it perfectly, and that's where I just didn't understand. We've seen these games with Hurts where he's been spot on. We've seen games where he maybe just puts up, he's 10 of 17 or whatever, but he's good enough to win you the game. And you know what? There's probably 20 or 25 other teams out in the league that would love to have a Jalen Hurts on their team. So I'm thankful that we have Jalen Hurts. I just wish that the media and some of these fair weather fans, and yes, I don't care who listens to this podcast, you need to understand that we went through, I'm going to rattle them off here, Bobby Hoying, Rodney Peete, Ty Detmer, Coy Detmer, Kevin Cobb, AJ Feely. We went through some of the bottom of the barrel, oh my God, quarterbacks. Just be thankful, just be thankful that we have a Jalen Hurts who can actually go out there and win us a game, because there were so many years of Drek, people. Just, we're all spoiled. We are. And we sometimes have to sit back and reflect and be like, wow, the 90s made me want to sit in a corner and cry to myself. The early 2000s, when Donovan McNabb was injured, really were rough. And I'll tell you, I missed one quarterback that just came to my mind, Jeff Garcia. He was in there for a few. So
yeah,
it's just, I'm thankful to have Hurts. Does he play awesome all the time? No. Do I want to punch him in the face because he makes some bad decisions? Sure. But at the same time, I know that he's going to go out there and do everything he can to win the game. That's all I ask for.
If you go back to the drop passes, I put in AJ into it, and that was incorrect only because that was a PI. It was actually Tank who missed the other one. Mm-hmm. And you were talking about spreading the ball around a little bit. Let me just read you the list of receivers for this one. And I'll just read you, their targets were great on all of it. And I'll just do the target list because at least everybody but Tank caught their ball. So we had Goedert, who was your highest receiver in this game with it 70 yards, and he was targeted 7. He got to 6, that one drop pass. Then you go to Saquon Barkley, who he was targeted 3 and then dropped a 1. He had 14 yards. All right, no, 7 yards apiece. I'll take 7 yards, to be honest with you, if it doesn't put us in 3rd and long and half of it. You had Smith, Brown, Darius Cooper, who had 2 as well on that one. Even Calcaterra had a catch.
Ooh, a Calcaterra sighting.
Yeah. Even he had a catch on there. So if you look at this, and only 15 or 12 out of 15, this is amazing to see because we spread it around. And if you look on the other side of the ball, they had, 76 total offensive yards? 75, something like that?
The lowest amount of total yards in the 75. Super Bowl era.
Yeah, 75 total yards. They had 29 passing. I mean, it's Kenny Pickett.
It doesn't matter. You can pretty much, go out there and just crawl yourselves to 76 yards. So let's put that in
46 perspective. Rushing yards. Hats off to the defense on that one. But before we get to the defensive side, how it went for this game, their first drive, was unbelievable. And it took about 8 minutes. The first quarter, 7 Eagles. And we just won't list the Raiders at all on it because, they ended in 0. Mm-hmm. So second, 10 points. Third, 7. And the fourth, 7. This was an unbelievable game to watch and shut out morale-wise, everything. I think they played a great game. I think Nick maybe having his hand in the play calling, I'm just gonna say it looked better. If he did, he didn't. I don't think it was KP solely him doing it, unless he just said one time and he flipped the playbook upside down and said, "Oh, this is how you read it." I'm not sure.
Yeah, and I saw some ignorant posts about, oh, well, Sirianni must have called the plays. That's not Kevin Patullo calling the plays. And I can 100% tell you it was Kevin Patullo calling the plays. Sirianni did not even have an offensive play call sheet on the sideline. So can we stop? Can we stop with this? If you're going to massacre and throw eggs at Kevin Patullo's house, you better go over there and give him his roses for at least this game, because he called a great game.
That is right. That is right. That's the way it should be saying. First of all, Dan, you nailed it right there. If you are going to bash Hurts, bash KP, and we've done it, don't get me wrong, but we're correcting, we're saying for this game, Hurts, unbelievable. You better walk up to him, give him his roses, his accolades, tell him he did a fantastic job, and don't pinpoint or pick one thing. To be honest with you, I can't think of one negative thing in this game. I can't, even the drive. KP, same deal. You played and called a good game. I'm not upset at all. Like I said, even the drop passes, not upset, because it wasn't Hurts' throw. It was the receiver's throw, but at the same time, they were playing good all around. So I don't expect a 100% passer rating on this to be successful on all of that.
Yeah, and I think what we finally saw in this game too is that receivers were actually open. We weren't just seeing throws to receivers who were necessarily really good covered. I mean, I think they said in the broadcast that the Eagles were the lowest in the league for yards after catch, meaning when they do get the ball, there's a guy stuck on them. So there's a lot of tight window throws. But in this game, whether it be the play action, the threat of the run, people just executing their game plan, we saw wide open receivers in this game, which was really what we saw last year at times when we had to throw the ball. We saw wide open receivers, and even when they weren't wide open, there were still some concepts in there that got them open in a way that they had chances to run after they caught the ball. So there were a lot of different aspects. The Raiders played a lot of zone, and that could be something that is a reason why they were so open. But they also alluded to on the broadcast, and I thought it was a good stat, is that Jalen Hurts in the last 3 weeks has struggled against the zone. So he went in there and he lit up the zone. So again, give him his credit. We are a week-to-week fan base. You always support your team. But the fact is that if they lose, you're pissed off. If they win, you're elated. This week, he got you the win. Kevin Patullo did a great job. There's nothing to complain. There wasn't one member of the coaching staff that did a bad job today. Or not today, on Sunday. So just give them their credit. You can't be one of those fans, as the media seems to be, where they just want to give you all the blame, but none of the credit. You hear it all the time with Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts wins because he has this great cast around him, this fantastic cast, as if it's his fault that Howie is a friggin' magician out there. But when the Eagles lose, who's to blame? Jalen Hurts is strictly to blame for their losses. Again, all the blame, none of the credit.
Dan, one of the things I want to switch gears, and we've been talking about the offense and how unbelievable they were against the Raiders. And I don't care. The Raiders are now 2-12, and they're fighting for their first round draft pick. That's pretty much what they're going into, and it's trying to spoil teams. But it was a great game for the entire Eagles organization, all the players, to get back to where they were, including the defense. Like you said in the beginning, this defense has been playing phenomenal for the last 5 to 6 weeks, and they're just getting better and better. I mean, I have not seen a better defense in quite a while. I won't say they have been the best Eagles defense because there's been a few errors where the Eagles defense was, a little more brutal. Let's just put it that way. You can't be that in this day and age. But if you think about it, I mean, the people that they have, the players that they have on this team are unbelievable. I mean, Zach Baun's interception. We haven't heard much from Zach Baun. Like, you don't hear his name being shouted, but he's in it every play. He's there. And then when you got Nakobe Dean, who is killing it out there, you've got the corners. You've got freaking. I'll tell you what. You and I were not a huge Adoree Jackson in the beginning. But he was better than Ringo, and he's come a long way.
No, completely agree. He's looked good. I mean, they've left him in some instances out on, one-on-one coverage, and he's done a really good job. And I'm not just saying in this game, in past games. I mean, he's looked. He got lit up. I will say, before the injury, in the Cowboys game by Pickens, he did.
Yep.
But since then, we have not seen him get lit up. I mean, you go back, Detroit, really solid game, great defense. Green Bay, really solid game, great defense. This game, really solid game, good defense, and he's been impressive. He hasn't been a liability, and that's all we need because on the other side of the field, we got a guy that's just locking people up. We do. And we have our own Darrelle Revis, where it's not Revis Island, it's Quinyon Bay out there. Just locking people up, and there's no escape.
Dan, talking about Quinyon Mitchell, I don't think he's had a touchdown against him all season, right?
No, I don't think so.
Not even one. They don't even throw that way because they're so afraid of it. And that's what you like because our front four are getting pressure. Our linebackers are getting home. Nakobe Dean is whooping ass out there. And, in fact, Dan, Jalen Carter wasn't in this game. In fact, he wasn't in the last game as well. He's, kind of been injured. Do you pay Nakobe Dean before you pay Carter?
Holy crap. Real quick, let's just say, did BG roll back the clock? Holy crap, he looked good. He looked so good.
He got home? Yeah. It was great. The one didn't count because of the
it counted in my heart. It counted in my heart.
Yeah. Well, the one didn't count only because, what was it, Cooper DeJean against the little flop play. Mm-hmm. Man, watching that live was hilarious. I'm like, oh, my God, he looked like he should be in acting.
Yeah, it was an NBA thing. But, to go back.
Go
ahead.
Was awesome.
He was incredible. Awesome. But to go back to your thing, it's a dilemma now, isn't it? I have never felt that, you necessarily, I don't know. Jalen Carter's a great talent. Don't get me wrong. I'm not diminishing him. But I don't think he's a $30 million defensive tackle. I'd rather allocate that money somewhere else. But I want him on my team. But Nakobe Dean, we're looking at a linebacking duo of Nakobe Dean and Zach Baun, which is going to be hard to beat. The only problem with that is that you, in the first round, drafted Jahad Campbell to be another off-the-ball linebacker. So I don't know what the heck you do with that, but it's a treasure trove of linebackers. And that's not a bad thing to have, but they got some hard decisions coming up.
Yeah, exactly. Now, I know not having Carter in there, I still think they did awesome. In the last game, this game, do I feel that having him in there is going to make an impact? Yes. Do I feel that we need to pay, like you said, $30 million? No. I think having Nakobe Dean locked up for a while, that guy was everywhere. He was in the backfield already, taking some of the hits. He was back there before they even had a chance to turn around and realize it. Granted, you're going against Kenny Pickett, and we've had him on the team. And Dan and I said in the beginning of the season, Kenny Pickett is not a number 2 QB. Tanner McKee, he's a number 2. Pickett, maybe 3 or whatever. I understand they had to play him, no Geno, but, man, this defense made him look even worse.
Yeah, he was just completely outmatched. It was the front four was just in his face all day, you know. And I will say this, one thing, and I don't know what it's going to cost. I don't think it should be a huge amount, but I'm paying Jalen Phillips in the offseason. He doesn't always get to the quarterback, but he's getting up his hands up there, and he's batting down passes, and he's consistent. He is getting pressure on the quarterback, and that's something we haven't seen all year is consistency. And what you're seeing is that it's finally opening up the other ends where Jalix Hunt is finally, oh my God, he showed up this season. Thank God. Nolan Smith is getting around the edge perfectly. Moro Jomo. I mean, I'm not saying they're all set up by the fact that Jalen Phillips is a beast and demanding, you know, double coverage, but he has been a really steady force, and I would pay him. Now, would I pay him, again, $25-30 million? I don't think so. But I would pay him a contract to stay here because I think he's been really impressive, and he's solidified the defense. We both said all throughout the year in the beginning was that Adoree Jackson is getting exposed not only because he's not that great, but because we can't get pressure with our front four, and the quarterbacks are sitting back there for 4 or 5 seconds. And even if you're the best cornerback in the league, you're going to lose track after that long. But they're getting pressure on the front four, so it's making their secondary look that much better. And to go back to what you said, like, you know, this is an amazing defense. Just think about, and I don't want to rattle off all the people they lost, but think of all the starters they lost at the beginning of this year. And they've plugged and played with people like Adoree Jackson, Moro Jomo. I mean, our second starting safety right now is Marcus Epps, who basically wasn't even on a team at the beginning of the year. They signed him off somebody's practice squad, and now he's a starter. You know, thank God, because Sidney Brown is dreadful. But it's Vic Fangio. I am so thankful for you. You are a man amongst boys, and you don't ever have to buy a drink ever in your life. He is finally, we have a defensive coordinator that we know isn't going to leave us for a head coaching job. Thank God.
Yeah, actually, looking at this defense, and you were talking about Jalen Phillips. First of all, it's like another diamond in the rough here because you got Zach Baun last year from New Orleans, Jalen Phillips from Miami, and they both had crappy seasons with the other teams. And then they come on to the Eagles, and they're just lighting shit up. They are just playing top notch. And having him, his immediate impact was phenomenal. To see him out on the field really doing a job and actually giving the chance for everybody to get home, to, you know, blow up some coverage, to break up to some timing, is awesome. Yes, we need to lock him up. The Kobe Dean, same deal. I think there's so many other players on the team. Jomo was phenomenal, as always. He has been coming on strong in the last couple of games, getting in there. Marcus Epps, so he was on the team. He was on the Super Bowl team, and right?
No, he wasn't on the Super Bowl team. Wait. The 2018 Super Bowl team, I believe.
Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
That's what you're talking about. He was on that team.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Clarification. He was on the Super Bowl team for 2018, not this past year.
Yeah.
Because you're like making me think they're like, wait, don't I know my players? And have him come in there and replay Sidney Brown, that was great. Because I'm sorry, Sidney Brown has not been that good. And watching him play hasn't been that good at all. It was great. I think you and I, starting out this season, was really concerned about the defense on all the holes they had. And they weren't our concern all season, except for, you know, Ringo and Sidney Brown into it. But
finally, that experiment is gone.
Yeah. And, well, not completely. But, I mean, the only time we see Ringo is special teams, though, which is great. You know, let him.
Yeah. All he could do out there is commit a holding penalty, so...
Yeah, that or catch or accidentally touch the ball, fumble it or something, and give it back to the other team.
All right. So no.
Don't give him more. I don't want to say credit. Just don't give him more ideas. Let's just put it that way.
Wait. You know what's great? How about your boy Covey? He has really.
He was a receiver. Did you see that?
He has really solidified the punt return game, and some of the kickoff return. But holy crap, he's out there spinning and juking. It's like Covey. My God, John Myer has been your fan for all these years, and I've sat here and said he's just not good enough. You don't keep him on the roster just because he's okay with punt returns. My God, Xavier Gibson is basically bagging groceries at the local Wawa now, thank God. And we've got, my God, Britton Covey, you deserve the Pro Bowl honors. And you're not going to get there because you've only been with the squad for a little bit, but he's really done a great job. And I had to give you your flowers for that one.
I was just about to say, Britton Covey, here's your flowers from Dan.
Yeah, exactly.
So I've been a big fan of him ever since Mario Faris has actually been a huge fan and listening to him. And he didn't really have a great punt return on most cases. Like he was not, I don't know, he wasn't getting the yards. But for some reason, whatever's going on, something got through his head, going from practice squad back to the Eagles and being a starter and just being able to do the returns. He was out there as wide receiver too. I'm sorry. Did you see that? Did you see it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Listen, I think he's got good hands. We saw him in the wide receiver position, not this past offseason, but obviously he wasn't on the team, but the offseason before. And I'm like, ooh, this is going to be interesting to see. So hats off to him. Yes, I'm glad you gave him his flowers, his accolades.
Yeah, and what do we need from a punt returner? Just don't do anything stupid. Don't field the ball at the 2-yard line and then proceed to fumble the damn ball. That's all we need. We're not asking for a lot out there. Anything you do above and beyond catching the ball is perfect.
As long as you have it and you hold it. That's pretty much it. So as long as you don't drop it. Dan, 2 more things. We got to talk about the predictions here while we wrap things up in a second. But the challenging question, and we've heard this on all the talk radios and everything, is after this game, are the Eagles back, or is it just because it was the Raiders?
It's too early to say. I mean, we don't need them to necessarily be quote-unquote back. We just need consistency. And I got news for you. Even if they go out there and they're still consistent this upcoming Saturday, you're still going to have the people that are going to say, oh, well, it was only Washington without Jaden Daniels. You're really not going to know much about the Eagles until they play the Bills in Buffalo. And I got to question whether or not they'll play their starters, okay, because it's not the last week of the season. But I got to question whether or not they'll even give a crap at that point because they're going to lock up the division. And like you said, the difference between having the 2 and 3 seed is pretty significant, though. If you get the 2 seed and you win the first round, you're guaranteed a home game. If you get the 3 seed and the 2 seed wins as well in wildcard weekend, you're then away. So there is that there. But, I mean, I don't know. It's too early to say. I want to see consistent. They finally played a full 4-quarter game. Whether or not they can
all around.
Yeah, exactly. So are they going to transition that into success on the next game? We're going to know pretty quickly. I mean, if they start the game and they go 3 and out, then we're both going to text each other and be like, "Holy crap, this is going again. This is starting again." Yep. Here we go. There's a holding penalty. Here we go. There's another hitch route. So it'll be interesting.
I agree with you. Consistency is one thing, and they did a great job on this game. But they did a great job against the Giants, too, where we thought it was a really good game. If they come out and they do the same thing where they play complete football for 60 minutes, I have a feeling they're on the right track. Better late than never, to be honest with you, for it. It's just great to see them come out and be the team we all predicted that they or thought they should have been early on. I know we want to talk about predictions, but how great was it to see Tanner McKee in the 4th quarter?
Yeah. Well, no, here's the problem with that is that he played well and he completed all his passes, but now you're going to get the people who are out there in the woodwork saying, "Did you see how well he played? Did you see that? He should definitely start over Hurts. He just looked fantastic. So that's the problem with playing Tanner McKee. But yes, he looked good.
It was nice to see him out there and get some of the reps, because I feel that as we get into the postseason here, you might see a little bit more of him, only for the simple fact is that the Eagles might be whooping ass. We're hoping they are. All right, folks, we got to do our Week 16 predictions. The Eagles are at Washington. They are playing them this Saturday at 5 p.m. A Saturday game. Well, there's also a late night game against the Packers and the Bears, too, so it's kind of a doubleheader Saturday. Excuse me, it's burping there.
Nice.
My prediction for the Birds is 35-17.
Solid. That's a good game. I am going to go with... because it's a division rival, I think it'll be a little bit closer, but I'm going to go with 28-14. Maybe that's not...
Okay.
Maybe that's not that much
I
closer.
knew you were going to say 28. I literally knew you were going to say 28. I already had that in the sheet. That's funny. 28-14. Okay. So all it takes actually for the Eagles to win their division is a win or a Dallas loss, right?
Oh, what a damn shame that Dallas won't be in the playoffs again. Whoa.
Yeah,
my God.
So this has been great. In fact, Monday Night Football was great. Waking up to see a Dallas loss. Oh man.
But you know what? You know what? Dak Prescott is putting up fantastic stats. He's just an amazing passer. He's got all these stats. He's got all these yards. He's got all these touchdowns. Where the hell is it getting you? Team success.
Oh.
Jesus Christ.
We got to rant here a second. I actually found a rant on it. You and I were texting about this. What the hell is it with Chris Collinsworth and
Jesus
Glazing?
Christ,
dude, he glazes Mahomes, and now that Mahomes is out for, in fact, we might see him in October next year from an ACL. He was freaking glazing Dak. Oh, my God, you can see from him that he is in total control of this offense. Total control. Yet he fucking lost there, Collinsworth. How's total control for that? Stats look great.
Jesus Christ. They are supposed to be impartial, you know, but my God, it was every single time. We were texting back and forth every time it would happen. It's not only is Dak in total control, he's an elite quarterback. Dallas has just turned the corner. Their defense looks amazing. Yeah, that looked good. Their offense is just incredible. Jerry Jones did a hell of a job getting rid of Micah Parsons and getting what he got in Quinyon Williams. Dallas is just, they're going to be superstars. They're not even making the damn playoffs, Collinsworth. Shut your mouth and start being impartial, because watching that broadcast, I don't care if I'm an Eagles fan or just an outside fan, it was an embarrassment watching that broadcast and just hearing him just rave about a 6-7-1 team. Good God, it was ridiculous.
Yep.
I wanted to put it on mute. I did. It's horrible.
I just like the background noise. I just don't want them to talk. Like, let me hear the crowd, to be honest with you. Collinsworth was horrible. Just like he is when he's with Mahomes, and now he can't glaze him for a year, so he's got to do something with Dak, but Dak's not going to do anything. And, in fact, you know, after Saturday, Dak's going home. You know, he's going to have an early offseason, let's just put it that way.
But he's going to put up amazing regular season stats. I will tell you what. They never translate into wins, but he's going to put up great stats.
Or playoffs or Super Bowls, because you know what? Dallas will continuously suck for another 30 years.
It's incredible. It's a damn shame. They're such a well-run franchise.
Yeah, exactly. That's the word I would use. All right, everybody, we got to wrap this up. This has been the Philly Fan Radio, and before I close it out, I'm going to let Dan do his thing.
It was a great week. It was a fantastic Sunday. Can't find anything to complain about, which is amazing because my voice was getting hoarse after yelling so much at this friggin' team because they're just not playing to their potential. But it was a fantastic week, and, you know, just be thankful for the ride. And, you know, it doesn't matter if it was the Raiders. We got to play our best football in December or January, and that's what we're in a position to do. Go out there, kick ass, win the division so I could buy myself an NFC East division champion shirt, And go Birds.
And I'm just going to add a little thing. I'm so glad they got rid of the positivity bunny because what the fuck was that? All right, everybody, this has been the Philly Fan Radio. I'm John Myer along with Dan Palmieri. Go Birds.
Go Birds.